made it. Holy smokes. Another busy day. Anyway, it's Tuesday, and I thought I'd talk about shortages today. I noticed that like everyone's getting on the internet and they're crying about there's going to be shortages on the shelves and tariffs are going to make everything super expensive. And I'm thinking it's okay. Like, it's not the end of the world. Like, let's see what happens. And people just don't want to even consider the fact that things might be okay. You know, it's just so much doom and gloom, and it's just wild, guys. It drives me crazy. Anyway, so I thought I'd talk about that day. I don't think it's gonna be that bad, not to be quite honest with you. And there's like these little things that you can do to mitigate if there were tariffs or if there were shortages on the shelves. There's a lot of things you can do, and there's a lot of things that we buy that people don't even talk about that they're not really tariffable, you know, and the cost of them, it doesn't go up very much. And if they do, it's very short-lived, and we'll talk about those things. But anyway, my name's Eric Wilkin. I own the Exploding Crow here in St. Louis, Missouri, and I do these talks, around 4 o'clock, and just talk about kind of whatever's going on in the news and how it kind of pertains to my business. So I own a small woodworking business and a paint company here in St. Louis, and we have about 7 employees. We do like a small 7 figures, and it's just a good middle-class living. You know, it's a lot of work, but I enjoy it, and it's a good way to go through life. You know, it's a lot of fun. I enjoy making furniture, and I like to see my employees get to do what it is that they want to do. And everyone seems to like working here. We all get along really well, and it's people work for me for a long time. And so I think it's this is what I think is coming down the pipe. I think you see a lot more people starting businesses and learning how to do this kind of just little kind of, you know, whatever middle class jobs as business owners, as opposed to, you know, getting the degree and being super successful at a hedge fund and all these kind of things. Like, it's okay to just make furniture, you know, paint cars, whatever. Like, you can make a decent living doing that. Anyway, that's what we're gonna talk about today. So I wrote down a bunch of things about this whole shortage thing, and truth is that everyone's freaking out. You know, at least if you're on the internet, if you're on social media, stuff like that, everyone talks about how, you know, all the economists say this is never going to work. It's a terrible idea, and it's going to be, you know, Pandora's box is being opened, and every country's going to, you know, not want to do business with us, and the cost of everything here is going to go up, and blah, 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 blah. And it's just doom and freak and gloom. And I just can't, like, I don't subscribe to that. I just, for me personally, my business, like, tariffs aren't a bad thing for my business. Like, could it end up hurting just a little bit? Yeah, maybe, you know, but truth is that most of the things that we use here at the Resplendent Crow are all American made. And that's how a lot of businesses are, to be quite honest with you. If you want to buy a lot of cheap stuff, you're into kind of cheap garbage and things like that, you know, you like to buy, you know, whatever, cheap cups and cheap silverware, and you like to buy, you know, cheap, you know, things for your cars and your house, and, you know, cheap cloths and all that. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there that people have just gotten in the habit of buying. You know, and I think that one of the best things about this whole tariff conversation and the threat of rising prices means that we're all going to have to be a little bit more honest about the kind of shit that we buy. Because truth is that most of us just buy tons of just garbage. Like, it's so much. The fact that Amazon packages showing up at our doorsteps, you know, like my wife's got just 6 of these fucking things showing up every day. And it's like, well, what the hell are we buying? What is so important that we have to buy stuff every day? Like, it just blows my mind. Like I said, and I grew up in the 90s, and it wasn't just wasn't that way. Like, I don't understand, like, what are people buying so much stuff? You know, and it also is we're gonna have an honest conversation about what it means to be a business owner. We got a lot of people making products and selling things that are just garbage, you know, and because the margins are so good, they can get away with it, right? So they're just selling tons of shit that no one really wants, that no one's making. They're not teaching anybody how to do anything that kind of helps the next generation. They're just getting cheap shit made overseas because you can't make it here because we have too many regulations, right? We got too many taxes. It costs too much to actually start a business here in America. And people can argue with me and say, you know, prices, you know, need to be low and people need to have access to everything. And I don't subscribe to any of that. I never have, and I never will. But that's just me. So anyway, I wrote down a bunch of things. I got myself a little, we're gonna drink a Cayman Jack today. So anyway, welcome everyone. I'm glad you're here. And, hit the like button, add to the discussion, let me know where you're at, all this kind of thing. So who do we got in here? We got Oli in here. Oli, okay, Oli, yep. And we got Roper in here. Roper, I've seen you before, man. Good to see you back. Thanks, guys, for coming in. And these Cayman Jacks, like little margaritas, man, they're really good. One of those keeps the divorce attorney away. Anyway, so I wrote down, so the thing about like our business here, our business at Resplendent Crow, like we make furniture, we paint furniture, these kind of things. And the truth is that in the event of tariffs, it's not going to hurt our business, right? And everyone's saying that there's not going to be anything on the shelves, and then, or there's going to be things missing from the shelves. The shelves are going to be empty. Like I keep hearing that on like Fox News, and it's just like Jesus Christ, people, like settle down. It's like I wrote down, like I was just thinking, like, well, what are the like essentials? What is it that people buy most of the time? Like, is that stuff really going to be empty? Is it going to be like, remember when the toilet paper was off the shelves, right? Toilet paper was disappearing. Like there was this mad franticness to buy toilet paper. Like what was that even about? Like it makes no sense. Toilet paper's made here in America. It's made at things called paper mills. It's like even if there was a shortage of that stuff because everyone decided to stock up on it and bought up all the supply will come back in because it's made from trees, which America has a massive abundance of. We have more trees than probably any other place on earth. And the truth is that, so the stuff that we buy, like things like milk and eggs, like all that stuff's made here. The feed for the chickens, it's all here. The coops and all the things that the land where we put all these, the people that get the eggs and deal with the chickens, like it's all here in America. Like that stuff's not going anywhere. The fertilizers, there's some things like there's a lot of fertilizers made over in Europe, but again, America produces all that shit here. Like we can produce all of it. It's not a problem. I wrote down things like home auto repair, homes, cars, all these, like all that stuff is here. We have it all. And yeah, you can say some of it's made overseas and we need components that are made in other countries. I get it, but in a worst case scenario, like it all can be done here, right? And then people say, yeah, but it'll get more expensive, right? Of course it's going to get more expensive. Like everything in life gets more expensive. But the best way to avert all of this, and this is, again, part of my business, which is why I'm talking about it, is buy vintage, buy used, buy secondhand, buy re-owned, whatever it is you want to call it, whatever the description is you want to put on it, certified. Just buy used. Like there is nothing wrong with buying used, right? And then you're not affected by any of this shit. And then you can say, well, yeah, but now everyone's going to be buying used. Like no, they won't. There's a lot of people in America today. They have no desire to buy anything used. Like all they want to buy is new stuff, and that's just you're always going to have those kind of people. And truth is that there's nothing wrong with buying used. Like buy used cars. You can even buy used clothes. You can buy now it's called vintage. Like that's a thing. Buying used furniture, vintage furniture, repurposed furniture, whatever you want to call it. I sell vintage furniture. Like it's a thing. I've been doing it for years. And it's helped me to work for myself for 8 years at this point. Like we used to do this stuff. It was kind of normal. And in the last, 15 years, suddenly it's like everyone just has to buy everything that they want, whenever they want, at the lowest possible price. And if you think that that's not okay, then I guess you're un-American or you're hurting the poor, as we say. Like I'm not subscribed to any of that shit. I think that's just ridiculous. Tariffs they're not gonna be that big of a deal. Yes, you're those red cups that you buy all the time, your Solo cups or your, those cheap things you get at Walmart, like, yeah, that's just going to get more expensive, You just have to buy it someplace else. That's all there is to it. And the other thing people don't talk about when they talk about these tariffs and the shelves being empty is all of these countries, just like with oil, if you can't buy it from one country, they're just going to, if you can't sell it to one country, they're just going to route it to another country and then sell it to that country. I mean, it's very well known that like these, we have these embargoes on Russia, right? Like Russia can't sell its oil on the open market. Truth is Russia sells that oil to India. India then sells it to America. Like it's all going to work itself out. It's all just bluster. Absolutely all of it, And when it comes to buying, again, like this whole buy used shit, like there's nothing wrong with that. The other thing we really suffer from here in America is everybody buys everything on credit. It's all credit. And the truth is that when you want to buy used shit, oftentimes you can't use credit. You got to use cash. And no one has any cash because they all are maxed out to the gills on credit, So people are going to have to get right with this whole credit thing. And you're just going to have to learn to buy shit with cash. Like it's just, sorry. There's nothing wrong with buying used stuff. And growing up, like that's what I bought. I bought all kinds of used. My entire shop, it's pretty much all used tools. I got a new planer. I bought a new planer a couple years back, and I bought a new wood lathe, which I hardly used, but it was new. But pretty much everything is used. And the other thing people don't talk about today is everybody buys new shit all the time, and anytime something breaks, they just buy something new, right? The prices have come down so much. It's like as a consumer, you should be really pissed off that your shit breaks so quickly. right? I mean, cars, right now I'm driving a car that was made in 2005, right? What is that? It's almost 20 years. Yeah, it's 20 years old. You know, it's as good today as it was the day it was brand new. You know, like you don't make cars like that today. I don't understand why, but shit just constantly breaks. Everyone wants these tiny little 4-cylinder turbocharged engines, and they're all blowing up at like 100,000 miles. You know, I can't figure it out. Like, we should expect more for the price that we're paying for stuff in America today. It's ridiculous what we're paying for stuff, and it breaks right away. We're basically buying brand new disposable goods, and people need to get right with that, because it's bullshit. You know, if you're not buying a good quality product today, you're not buying something that's, you know, that if you're paying good money for it, it better last a long time. It better be something that you could show your friends, and your friends go, wow, that's really cool. You know, instead of everyone just buying this throwaway bullshit, you know, which is, again, I think we're getting ready to have that conversation. I think it's going to change quite a bit, and it's going to be a good thing. And I don't know, like I said, people might not agree with me on this, but I think that it's a good thing that the cost of this superfluous bullshit that we basically occupy our lives with is going to get more expensive. It should be 200-300% more expensive. You know, 145%, it's not enough. You know, but how does that happen to the business, right? What does that mean for the Resplendent Crow as a business? You know, and honestly, I don't think it means nothing. You know, yeah, my customers, if they own these businesses that sell this, you know, this cheap Chinese stuff, then sure, maybe they'll have less money, maybe they'll buy less of my furniture. But I don't think it's going to affect us that much, to be completely honest with you guys. So I don't know. Okay, we got Mike in here. Let's say Mike. Okay. Mike, good to see you, man. All right, used allows someone else to take the hit on depreciation. Yeah, right? Yeah, and I mean, that's a whole other thing. Like, and it blows my mind, Mike, because like, I was just talking about cars. Like, if you go buy a car today, like, I'll tell you guys exactly what happened to me, okay? I bought a brand new Tesla Model Y. Like, my wife just loves technology, and she just loved the idea of having an electric car, and she loves Tesla and Elon Musk and all this kind of stuff, and she just wanted, it was like, yeah, she just had to have it. It was one of those deals. She put down her deposit on the Model Y. It was like the hottest car. And we bought it in December of 2022, which was the worst time you could have ever bought a Tesla. It was the exact pinnacle of the hype. So we paid, it was $60,000 for this thing, and $10,000 on top of that for the full self-driving capability, right? So the car drives itself. 70 grand. That car right now, if I went to sell it, would sell for it might sell for like $12,000, $18,000. These cars have depreciated like garbage German automobiles, like BMWs once they hit 100,000 miles. Like they're worth nothing. And I can't, like that to me, that is insane. It's absolutely insane. It's worth nothing, you know, and it's a great car. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like it. It's a fantastic car, and it's fine, but it's not worth the money that we paid for it. But more importantly, the depreciation is just through the, it's worse than a Bentley. It's worse than these supercars, Maseratis. Like the depreciation is just, it's terrible, you know, and that's, I don't know what to do about that, man. That's not a good thing, you know? So anyway, Mike said, I'll send his message via IG. Yeah, Mike, I saw your message. It was really long. I need to read through it, and I'll get through it. I got some more stuff to do on Instagram today, and I haven't posted anything today. I haven't even been on Instagram for the most part, but I'll get on there and I'll read what you're talking about. And it was something to do with this big table project that I have going on. And yeah, that's something. I got this massive 15-foot custom flame mahogany table that I have to make. It's 15 feet long and 4 foot wide. You know, it's gonna have I think it's gonna have 6 legs on it, no leaves. It's just completely solid. It's going in this massive estate, and it's gonna be a hell of a project. I don't know how the hell I'm gonna spray this thing, but I'll do some research. And Mike, I know that's probably what you were talking about, so I appreciate you reaching out and let me know. So, but yeah, back to what we're talking about. These things are amazing. Also, I'm sitting in my I don't know if you guys can see this. This is like my Star Trek Captain Kirk chair. So I made this thing. It's I'm working on it. I'll have more content. And this mic, this is what I haven't been on Instagram. This is the last thing I posted on Instagram was about this chair. It's gonna be a replica of a Ralph Lauren piece. Ralph Lauren makes furniture, and this is a complete side tangent, but Ralph Lauren, as everyone knows, is a clothing kind of icon. And anyway, he has a really expensive line of furniture. He does furniture for like hotels and just really like $20,000 dressers and stuff like that. And then I've always just kind of been enamored not by the furniture. The furniture that Ralph Lauren makes isn't really that impressive to me. What's impressive is the fact that this guy can sell it for $20,000. You can sell a dresser for 20 grand. Like that's what I want, you know, because I know I make better furniture. I make better looking furniture, and I want to be able to sell dressers for $20,000. You know, so I'm always looking at what this guy's selling, and I know it's probably not him personally. It's probably more of a branding type situation. But again, the idea that you have a brand that is so valuable that it can go cross industries, right? Like your name is known in the fashion and clothing industry, but you can put your name on furniture and it's immediately doubles the value, triples the value, quadruples the value, because your name, it just has that much cachet, right? Has that much value. That's an amazing thing. And that's something I've talked about, branding and all that kind of stuff in previous videos, but that's a really important thing in business. And I know this has nothing to do with shortages, but that's one of the things that we've done at the Resplendent Crow, is that over the years, we've built up cachet with our high gloss lacquered finishes, and we've done it long enough that we've been able to double and triple our prices. Now we haven't been able to quadruple them, but we've gone from selling dressers for $1,000 to selling them for, vintage dressers for $1,000 to selling vintage dressers for $3,000 and $4,000, right? Which is cool, you know. And now we're able to sell desks for $20,000. We're able to sell, you know, dining tables for 30, 40, 50 grand. You know, we can do that now because over the years we've built up that name, and people trust us enough to do those projects. It's not even that we have the best product; it's that we have the longevity in the business, right? We're known to get the job done, which is really important. I don't think people understand that enough. It's not just about having a great product or a gimmicky product. It's about having longevity, right? I'm always talking about this Lindy effect, right? You're one of the last ones standing because you've been able to deliver a product for so long. Even if it's not the best product, the fact is that you've done all facets of business long enough and well enough that you've stayed in business, right? So there's something to that, and people don't talk about it enough because it's not very sexy, but it's a very important thing about staying in business for the long haul. So, okay, more comments coming in. All right, let's see what Mr. Mike is saying now. Yeah, I saw this. Also got a pop-up beer holding armrest. Yeah, I know it needs something. Like I said, I'm doing a video on how I'm making it, and like I said, I just literally slapped this thing together. And I just built it in kind of the quickest. It took me like 3 hours to cut everything out, put all the blocks in, get it all assembled, figure out how to make it. And now I've got to rip it apart again, and I've got to make it so it's actually sturdy, right? It'll last. So I'll have to put blocking on the inside, and I need to make sure that I can reproduce it, you know? So I got to go and I got to jot down all the dimensions of everything, how I make it, and then I'll go back and update my model, and I'll make sure that I can cut it out on a CNC router next time. But I don't know, I want to make it so that I can paint it, but then I can also veneer it and turn it into a veneered piece like the original piece was, you know? So I got things to do. Also, I want to put brass on a lot of stuff. You know, we do a lot of brass work here at the Resplendent Crow. So I'll do some nice polished brass on this thing with a beautiful kind of a burgundy red lacquer, which is the signature color of Ralph Lauren. You know, so that's kind of my goal when this thing's all said and done. So, all right. Let's see here. It says, who's this? Scobuzz, what's up? That's definitely a recording. Yeah, I don't know what that even means, but anyway. So, all right. So I wrote down some notes. I'm gonna talk more about this. We'll get back on topic here. So there's things that, you know, you could see shortages of, right? And I did some earlier videos, like I don't know, probably a week or two ago, talking about how what's going to happen. I've said this, like in the next, it's going to take 6 to 12 months for this to sort itself out. Is basically what's going to happen is right now we saw that what happened was everybody in the people that are having stuff made in China, right? That their businesses run on Chinese manufacturing. They front loaded all their purchases, right? So they bought everything the last basically month. They just hauled ass those ships over here, dropped all that shit off, put it in the warehouse, right? And then they're going back to get more shit, right? And everyone says, well, they're booking less shippings. You know, and truth is that when that stuff comes into the ports, what's happened is you only have to pay that duty on it when you want to accept it from the port, okay? So the idea that these ships just come in and that your credit card is charged is complete horseshit. So what's happening is all of these shipments that are coming in from China, and these will continue to come in, by the way. They're acting like these aren't coming in anymore. They're coming in. They might not be coming in the numbers that they are coming in, but if you look at the overall percentage of all these shipments coming in, you might have China going down a little bit, but guess what? Vietnam is going up, right? It's because all the shit's going over to other countries and they're bringing it in from those countries, right? But what's happening is all of this stuff's going to sit in the ports. And it's going to sit in these ports and these warehouses. And basically, as soon as these tariffs start to kind of get negotiated down, which they will, companies are going to start saying, okay, let's pay for that and bring it in here, right? And that's what's going to happen. And immediately, in the near term, what we're going to see is we're going to see a lot of these companies are going to try and pass the cost on to the consumer, right? And the consumer is going to say, no, sorry. Some people will buy, but most people are going to be like, no, get fucked. I'm not paying your price because I don't value your product that much, right? This is the difference between a company that has a relationship with its customer and people that are just buying superfluous shit because they feel like they need to buy stuff, okay? So what's going to happen is customers are going to say no. And then when the consumer, the purchaser of the goods being manufactured over in China wants their stuff brought in so they can sell to their customers, a lot of these people are going to say, no, we're not going to take this shipment. Get it out of here. I don't want it. I'm not paying this tariff, right? So then there's going to be a negotiation. And nobody in the media talks about this. Like nobody. They always bring some sappy, crying mom, who started a business and has all her shit made over in China and, she's selling baby toys. Or some guy that's trying to start a shoe company, but he has all his stuff made in China. It's always these kind of people. And what's going to happen is all these people are going to have to negotiate with the people that they're getting their stuff made from, right? Because the people over there in China, they still need jobs just like we do here in America. All these people need to work, right? And if they don't have money, right, they can't do a job, they have no money, they can't feed their families, right? So they're going to have the same problems we would have here in America if all the jobs were gone here, right? I mean, it's the same exact problem. We all have the same problems. It doesn't matter what continent you're on, right? So when these negotiations start to happen, these other countries are going to eat some of this, right? Or these businesses, however it works in these other countries, they might eat half of this tariff, right? So yeah, we're going to pay it all here in America, but the cost of the goods to the person that's importing the product is going to come down substantially because everybody has to be able to sell their product, and they never talk about this. It's always the American consumer is getting hosed and no one's going to buy anything and the shelves are going to be empty and that's not going to happen. And again, like I said earlier, the essentials that we buy, eggs and bread and cars and houses and auto repair and the fix-it services and stuff like that, like all that stuff, it's all homegrown. It's all homegrown. Yeah, your tennis shoes are made overseas, but guess what? You want to buy American shoes? Go buy New Balance tennis shoes. Brooks makes all their stuff in Indonesia. Go buy from them. You don't have to buy the Chinese-made shoes. Shoes are made all over the place. There's a company here in America called Speedland Running. Go buy their shoes. Yeah, they're crazy expensive, but guess what? They're going to last a long time. It's like they're one of the only shoe companies where the soles of their shoes are made by Michelin, the fucking tire company. Okay, you think Nike's going to have their rubber made by Michelin? Come on, this is this is insane. And that's the other thing is we've been conditioned to think that Nike makes the best shoes. Nike makes a garbage shoe. Their shoe is horrible, but it's just when you make all your stuff in another country, you can spend all of that money that you save on American labor on advertising, on marketing, right? You can come up with that Just Do It campaign. Right? You can come up with the Air Jordans. You can come up with all these great products because you don't have to spend the money on labor. So it's times are changing, guys. But the essentials are fine. Coffee, yeah, comes from Ethiopia and all these other countries where they, Colombia, but there's lots of coffees that aren't going to be tariffed that much. Kona coffee is kind of expensive. It's from Hawaii. That doesn't have a tariff on it. The essentials are going to be fine. And the thing is that if shit gets really expensive, save your fucking money. Save your money. Stop spending. But people are going to go out of business. Tough shit. If your product is that great, people will buy it even when times are tough. Okay, that's one of the things that you'll learn when you follow my videos is about branding and the relationship that a customer has that a business has with its customers. It's very important. And when you buy this cheap shit on Amazon, no one has a relationship with it. All they give a shit about is that it's cheap. That's all they care about. That's it. Okay, so when times get tough, you aren't going to spend your money. Hang on to it. Save it. pay off some of that credit card debt that I was just talking about, right? And I got tons of credit card debt. I'm not on a soapbox. I'm as guilty as anybody, but I understand how the thing works. Like, I did it to myself. I take responsibility for putting myself in credit card debt, right? But I also know the fucking solution, and the solution is that I stop spending on dumb shit and I start paying off debt. Like, it's not somebody else's problem. Somebody else didn't do this to me, right? We did this to ourselves as a country by saying, hey, I don't care where my products come from, just give me cheap products, right? So yeah, so we're paying for this. We did this to ourselves, and again, stop spending money. It's not that complicated. And anyway, it is what it is. So I got more stuff written down. Okay. Another thing we're going to learn with all of these shortages, if there is a shortage, with all the tariffs, all this conversation about where things are made, has anybody noticed that the things that we buy today don't last as long? And if you're in the comments, guys, hit the like button, hit the subscribe, and put in the comments, tell me something that is sold today in we'll say the 2020s, that is better than was made in the 1990s or the 2000s. Like, name one thing. And no U-porn, okay? We know U-porn is amazing. We didn't have it back in the 90s. But give me something that is made today that is better than 30 years ago, okay? Because we all know the price has gone up, right? The thing that we used to made in America is no longer made in America, and somehow the price went up. How did the price go up? It doesn't last as long. The price goes up. Where did all the money go, right? Because profits are way up, stocks are way up. Who is getting all that money? And it's easy to say, oh, it's the CEOs, it's the greedy corporations, greedy people, right? Well, you're buying all their shit, guys. Like, that's the thing. Like, you are facilitating all of this, and you say, oh, not me. Okay, great. You're thanks, hero. But the truth is that we're all buying from these companies for whatever reason. And you might say, well, there's no other options. Okay, well, there's a business idea. Start a company. Like, do something that helps society, right? If it's always the greedy corporations and it's always somebody else that's screwing us all, there's your business opportunity. Put those people out of business. Stop buying their products. It's ridiculous. We can do better than this. And this is the thing that's going to happen with all of these, with these tariffs. It's going to get you looking at everything you buy. Where is it made? It's almost the first thing I look at now. Like, even I'm like hyper aware of it. When I go through my entire business, I look to see where everything is made because it's very important, right? So like I say in my videos, my paint comes from Baltimore, Maryland, okay? Excuse me, Sherwin-Williams makes 150,000 gallons of paint a day in Baltimore, Maryland. That's who I use for my base coats. The other company I use is a company called Mohawk, right? People know them for like laminate floors, but truth is they make paint. It's really good, nitrocellulose lacquer paint. Again, made in America. Okay, all of the woods, all of the plywoods, all the hardwoods, everything we use here at the Resplendent Crow, it's all made in America. And it's not by design. Like, it just happens to be that furniture is a very American thing. Painting isn't a very American thing. It's just, honestly, it's just dumb luck, But it just seems to happen that the dumb luck, when you make stuff in America, you're good. Like, when I worked in the jet industry, all the jet stuff was made in America. All of it. All the composites, all of the Bondos, all of the specialty epoxies from like Hinkle and 3M and all these companies, they're all made here, So there's a lot of stuff that's made in America. So if you're one of these people that is just pissing and moaning about greedy corporations and, the rich are screwing the poor and blah, 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 like, we did this to ourselves, guys. And I say that as just a middle-class normie. But I'm keenly aware of what's going on. We need to stop buying this shit. Like, all you really need is lunch to go to work. You need a decent car that goes to work. Make sure your wife is happy. Make sure your kids are happy. And keep your home in good repair. And that's really all you need. All this other shit, these, 10 subscription services now that people have, like, they're looting your bank account when you buy all this shit. You're fucking glued to these televisions, and they're just draining you with subscriptions. Everything is a subscription now. And we keep adding them, right? Like, I did an audit of mine, like, I don't know, probably like a year ago. Like, it was like coming out of COVID. I was just like, man, I had a couple $100 just in subscriptions, for like dumb shit, like trail running, trail running apps, and there was like an off-road truck app that I signed up for like $4 a month. Like just like, and these things, they just start to stack up, but then, now I look back and I think, what was I thinking? Like, I don't really give a shit about any of these companies, and that's what I'm talking about, guys. Like, as times get harder, we're going to start looking at where we spend our money. What are we buying? What kind of products are coming into our businesses? What kind of a business do we have? Why do people buy from us? What is our tactical advantage? How could we stay in business or even grow our companies if tariffs were to become a thing, if the economy gets compromised, right? If we enter, they're talking about, we might enter a recession next quarter. These kind of things. Like, there are things you can do when times get hard that will put you going in the opposite direction of everyone else, right? When everyone else is pissing and moaning and whining, you could still be, growing or at least treading water until things get better, but, you can't listen to these freaking doom and gloomers, guys. Like, they're everywhere. They are freaking everywhere. There's people just constantly pissing and moaning about everything, So, again, I'm Eric Wilkin. I own the Resplendent Crow. We're a small furniture company here in St. Louis. We make probably 500 pieces a year, is what we paint and what we make. Like, we don't run massive volumes, but it's good enough for a little middle class living. And anybody can do this. Like, I tell everybody, I never went to high school or didn't ever graduate high school. I just always made things. And there was always work. Even when everyone was telling me to go to college, all I did was just make shit. I just happened to get into the jet industry by dumb luck. Right? Completely dumb luck. But that's what I did to make a good middle-class living. And even today, it's a fantastic middle-class living, But if you work for a cabinet shop, that, I don't know, like that makes kitchen cabinets, like you're going to struggle to make a lot of money. So get out of that industry. Go to the jet industry. It worked for me. And then maybe parlay those skills into starting your own business. I failed 3 times to start a company and finally got it. It took me till I was, what would it be, 37, 38, until I finally got it figured out, So anyone can do this, man. That's why I do these talks. I just tell me, like, anybody can do this kind of stuff. Like, and I tell everyone the kind of company we have, the kind of revenue we have, the employees. I show everyone our shop on Fridays. I show all you guys what we have going on. And like I said, anybody can do this. It's not the most difficult thing in the world. What people struggle with is that not only do you have to learn, you have to be willing to learn new things. You have to be learning about taxes, regulations. You have to deal with, employees that, they always have problems. Like, you got to deal with customers, right? You got to basically put on a happy face, when you want to tell a customer to fuck off. Like, you have to tell them, oh no, that's a great idea, you dumb bitch. Like, you have to put that thing aside and you have to be what this person needs you to be. And I don't think a lot of people want to do that. That's really what I think the big problem is. But if it gets harder to work for other people, you're going to have to learn to work for yourself. And these are some of the things that you're just going to have to do. You have to put on that face. You have to be able to deliver a product, even when you don't want to. Even if you think that person's idea is ridiculous, you got to be able to say, no, that's a great idea. Here, I'll do it for $7,000. And then when they cut you that check, you got to have the discipline to get up, come into work every day, do this job for which someone's not breathing down your neck to do it. You got to do it yourself. And this is some of the stuff that I think people really struggle with. And, that's just me being real with everyone. I don't think that what I do is special at all. Anybody can make furniture. Like, anybody can do what I do. I wholeheartedly believe that. We got, Mike's in here. Mike used to work for me. Fantastic painter. He could do all this shit. I've seen that guy, redo furniture, restore it. Anybody can do this kind of stuff. It's all the other skills. And Mike would be the first to tell you this, having to go find a facility, figuring out how to pay for things. Like, when you go home, most people, when they go home, they get to go home and hang out with their kids, hang out with their family, maybe they get laid, like whatever, like there's no complications. When I go home, the fucking switch never goes off. It's I go home and then I have to hear about my wife's day and I got to tell her about what I had to deal with. She's got to tell me what she had to deal with. And it's all work related all the time. It never switches off. You get up in the morning, you go down, you work on drawings, you look at emails, you got to figure out what new furniture to build, right? What new hardware to make, right? I got to talk to people in India so they can, we can figure out why the hell the hardware order hasn't shipped. We got to, whatever, deal with theirs. Like, there's just all these things that you have to do as a business owner. And I think this is one of the things that people really struggle with. There's this constant back and forth between, the person that owns the company and the worker, right? And there's just this massive struggle. And the truth is that they're very different struggles. Yes, they need each other, but they are not the same, right? Like, I know for a fact I can do the worker's job every day of the week. I know for a fact the worker can't do my job any day of the week because it requires too much bullshit. It requires too many skills, and they're skills that you can't develop in one day by watching a YouTube stream. Okay, it took me 20 years to learn all this shit, and it took 20 years of failing, right? And then getting back up and dealing with it again, and still having that drive, and for whatever reason, wanting to do this thing. And it ended up being a mediocre living, right? It's a middle-class living. Like, I could make more money going up the street to Westar Aviation and going back to working on private jets, 100%. But I'm not going to do live streams every day. I'm not going to go, build crazy walnut credenzas and Star Trek chairs and just kind of, get a hair at my ass to, start drinking Cave and Jacks at 4 o'clock. Like, that stuff doesn't exist when you work for somebody else. When you do it for yourself, you kind of have options. You can do things like that, But, I don't want this to devolve into a talk about employees and starting businesses and all that kind of stuff. Like I said, anybody can do this. That's really what I want to leave you guys with. And like I said, don't believe all doom and gloomers about all the tariffs and the shortages. Like, none of that shit's going to happen. Like, most of the things that we buy today they're made in America. The products that house them, that store them, are made in America. And it's the people that are freaking out about like the stock market. Like, you and I have no relationship to the stock market. They don't. I mean, honestly, my customers probably are affected by the stock market, and that could affect me, but the truth is, guys, is that a lot of my customers are old money, which means, and this is something that you don't hear a lot of people talk about, but there is so much old money in the system right now. Like, the boomers have more money than we can even fathom, and a lot of them are retired. They figured it out. They're set up great, and good for them. But these people aren't worried about the stock market. They're not worried about anything. They've got plenty of money. They've got generational wealth, which is one of the things that keeps a business like mine alive. It's not always, the hardworking man, who goes to work and his wife wants a nice credenza. Like, trust me, that guy's not buying my stuff. It's the person that is third generation rich. That's who's buying my stuff. It's the investment banker, who lives in New York, who's been doing this for 20 or 30 years, and his wife wants some nice shit because she's home all the time. That's who's buying my stuff, right? It's the congressperson, that wants a really nice desk in his office. He's the person that's buying my stuff because he has an expense account. Okay, he's not buying it, you're buying it. So this is how the furniture game kind of works, and it's, it is what it is, guys. So anyway, I hope this is a good stream for everyone. So Fridays, I show over what's in the shop. I show you guys what I'm working on. I said, I've got the wildest projects coming up, guys. Like, you don't even understand. Like, flame mahogany, crotch mahogany. I mean, the veneer alone on these pieces of furniture is like $3,000 a sheet. It's very expensive. It's going to be beautiful. I mean, big leggy sideboards, massive dining tables. I'm trying to think. Like, I've got this crazy foyer, 48-inch foyer table that I'm building. It's probably gonna have griffins on it. I mean, really cool, like gilded griffins, So I'll do videos on a lot of this stuff and just kind of show you guys some of the cool furniture. But the point of the YouTube thing, the streams, is just to kind of talk about topics of the day, let you guys ask questions, and have a kind of a back and forth with people, and just show you guys, like, this is a business. This is what business is really like, and it's like I said, probably not gonna get rich, but it's okay. Life isn't about getting rich all the time. It's about doing things that you really like to do, and making a little money is nice, But at the end of the day, you just want to like what you want to do. You want to have good mental health. You want your wife to be happy, your kids to be happy, your husband to be happy, whatever. And that's really what it's all about. The money happens when you do something you really enjoy. So anyway, everybody's good. We'll do this again tomorrow. So have a good day.